I'm Chris Allen. I'm the architect that's been beta testing your code for you. Some of you have thanked Gina and me for our efforts by publicly describing our pro bono work as fear-mongering or misinformation. Thank you. This is my digital friend, Mark. He and his friends think it's very uncool that several of you like to tell your constituents that he's been made extra small to make the buildings in our models look enormous. While the city has been less than transparent about what this code will mean to the citizens of Austin, Mark's little blog has had more than 27,000 visits in the last month. In political terms, I guess Mark and his friends might be little people, but they matter to us. A lot of Mark's three-dimensional friends and neighbors are here today with us. Scenario-based modeling is the only way to beta test development code. It takes a particular skill set that combines experience in real estate, architecture, and planning. The city's current code team is inexperienced. They don't understand how important this work is to refining code language. If you don't beta test your code, you get nothing but unintended consequences. At the 11th hour, the code team has begun to do a bit of modeling. So far, they've only modeled what we've modeled previously, illustrating that our models were 100% accurate and that the code produces buildings that are far too large and far too expensive. Unfortunately, Gina and I haven't had time to even begin modeling any of the mixed-use or commercial zoning districts, so we're never going to know how messed up they are until the bulldozers fire up. I don't have a lot of time, but we should pause here for a moment and ask you all to look at this city-produced visualization and ask, is this what you really had in mind when you started this process? Do you really want to displace renters and lower-income homeowners to make way for gigantic duplexes and triplexes like this for the wealthy? Staff also showed you a few images on Wednesday that were produced by architects they hired. The example on the upper left shows an R4 project that eats up the center of the land with a parking lot and only manages to hit a 0.4 FAR. That's ridiculous. How many developers will leave $500,000 or more on the table when a 50% more FAR is available to them? The city's RM1 example they showed you on Wednesday on the upper left is even more laughable, incorrectly stating first that it shows a 1.0 FAR. I imported this model into my software yesterday, and it's actually a 0.4 FAR. In the real world, this building would be nearly 20 feet taller, using all of the available 40-foot height. The city's subject site has the exact same dimensions as my example on the lower right. Those are the same site, same zoning. What's going on here? At best, the city team just doesn't understand real estate and architecture enough to know what happens in the real world, and they're just wasting our money on these useless models. At worst, they're trying to put lipstick on a pig and trying to make you think their code isn't really so awful. Either way, they showed you these illustrations on the eve of this hearing. You can't do your jobs if you don't know what the code really produces. You're going to have to figure out what's real in a hurry, and you're going to have to remember that the effects of rising housing costs and displacement will hit many of your constituents hard if you guess wrong. Here's Mark again. He's here to show you what's going to happen. In order to deliver more housing capacity, this code incentivizes demolition of the most affordable homes in Austin's hot neighborhoods like Windsor Park or Rosedale. Rather inconveniently, the tenants from the bulldozed house in the hot neighborhood won't end up in the landfill with their house. They won't be able to afford the rent in the giant new luxury apartment buildings along our transit corridors in their neighborhoods either. So unless they want to move to the suburbs, they're going to have to look for housing in more affordable neighborhoods like Quail Creek or Dove Springs. There, they'll have just enough rent money or buying power to displace a lower-income family. What happens to that lower-income tenant or homeowner? That's the second U-Haul. Their options are mostly outside the city limits, where the cost of commuting will be brutal. By upzoning to unleash the value underneath every rental property in Central Austin, this code will change the term Austin city limits from one associated with music to one that divides the rich from the poor.
Thank you.